Hello, welcome to Code Rhetoric with Tam Talk. My name is Tamara Abraham, founder of Abraham Medical Coding Coach, LLC. Code Rhetoric was created to share the many facets of medical coding. Hear from industry experts and gain valuable tips to help you succeed in the career of coding. As our motto states, we're here to coach, motivate, and train for success. To learn more, please visit my website at abrahammedicalcodingcoach.llc.com. Hello, welcome to Code Rhetoric with Tam Talk. On this episode, I invited coding colleague and my good friend Joanne McKay to share her journey in the medical coding field. Joanne brings over 30 years of medical billing and coding experience to the table. Please listen in as she takes us on her journey.
Hello, my name is Joanne McKay, and I have been asked to participate in this podcast interview with my friend Tamara, which I am very honored to do. So thank you, Tamara, for inviting me to speak today. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about having a passion for what you do. I'll start by saying that medical billing and coding was not my first passion. I remember being 13 and wanting to do something in the fashion industry. But my mother, my lovely mother, had actually deterred me from that idea and had stated that I should do something in the medical field. So I gave some thought to that and said, okay, she may have a point. She says, Joanne, there's someone that's always going to be sick, or there's someone that's always going to need a lawyer. So I just decided, let me try the medical field. So about the age of 17, I went to visit my OBGYN's office, and I began looking at what they were doing, the actual process, the medical assistants, the front office staff, and the nurses. So I paid attention to all that, and I just decided, I think I'll start by doing medical assisting. So I began doing some research on the career. That's important. So when you delve into something like that, you want to do your research, which is what I did. And at that time, I was residing in California, and the field for that career was very lucrative at that point. So I decided, okay, that'll be the direction that I go into. But being 17, I was still in high school. I graduated, and my mother did ask me if I wanted to go to college at that point. Well, I kind of told her I didn't feel as though college was my direction at that point in my life, but I wanted to do the career move. So I ended up working at McDonald's, just being a manager there. I ended up getting pregnant at the age of 19. So was still at home, but working. But that's when I decided to take my career in the same direction. I was a manager at McDonald's, and I stayed there for a few years. And I got pregnant again at the age of 22 with my second child. And I said, okay, so Joanne being a manager at McDonald's is not going to cut it. So I went ahead and I pursued my career in medical assisting. I went to a school called the Bryman Schools. They've changed the name to the National Education Center. So I started out there, and it was a great experience for me. It was a 9-month program. I graduated in the top 90 percentile of my class. So they taught you all facets of front and back office, but more focused on the back office side because I was in the medical assisting program. So after I finished my internship, I did it at an internal medicine physician's office. That was fine. I did that for 30 days, and then I started applying for jobs in the medical field. I went to a company called St. Mary's Medical Center in Long Beach, California. And that is where I got my very first start in my medical career. It was a family practice physician's office. It consisted of 5 doctors, lots of nurses, and medical assistants. So I was very happy to be a part of that field. So I started there working mostly back office. I remember one day we're really busy, and the back office young lady, which was in the billing department, was out. So I went to answer the telephone, and there was a patient on the phone, and the patient was very distraught about a bill they received. Now, I hadn't been trained to do that, but I worked my way to the computer and into the patient's account, and I began looking up her account, and she was really frustrated about a billing, so I noticed there was an error. So at that point, my instinct was, I want to fix this. So I, put the information to the side. I don't know where the young lady in the billing department was, but nonetheless, I went to my manager the next day and I asked her, I said, hey, is there a possibility you guys can train me in the back, in the billing department? Because there was this patient, she was very distraught, and I really want to help her. And so the manager agreed. So they let me cross-train, and I'm a heavy believer in cross-training. So when I got into the back office, I picked up the CPT book and I picked up the ICD-9 book, and I was just fascinated. There was a diagnosis for literally everything, and it fascinated me. Now, mind you, when I went through the medical assisting program, they did touch on facets of that, but never delved into it, the depth of it. But when I was in the back office, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so interesting. So I began looking at the CPT book. I started studying that. So I went and bought my own CPT book and my own ICD-9 book, and I began studying at home. And it was at that point I determined that I have a passion for this. I want to do this. This is something I want to do. So from St. Mary's Medical Center, I worked at Torrance Surgery Center. I worked at Long Beach Memorial Hospital, and I worked for a company called Medifis, and it was a billing company where I did radiology billing for all the major hospitals in California. It was Cedars-Sinai. It was Inglewood Medical Center. So, but that company ended up getting closed down. So I was having a really difficult time trying to find another career after that, because once people get into those careers, they don't want to leave them. And I understand why. So my career in California kind of ended there, and I traveled to Georgia. I came here in 1996, and 95. And I worked for a physician's office out at Northside, and then I went to another an OBGYN's office here in Atlanta area, and I worked there for about 5 years. I was doing medical billing and the coding for an OBGYN practice, and I loved it. So my travels through the medical field has been very vast. I've done cardiovascular thoracic, colorectal specialist. I've done anesthesia. So I've had a wide array of exposure to this field. And as I learn new things, there are challenges to them. So each time I actually just went into it with an open mind, and I decided that, I'm going to give this a go. And I was really into it. But I want to say, having a passion for it no longer becomes a job. It becomes a part of who you are. And the more you do it, the more you enjoy it. I don't know for anyone else, but I know that I do. And being that my mom pushed me in this direction, it was a great career move, because I was able to provide for my children. I was able to, I had been medical benefits and things of that nature. So it really paid off in the long run. So let me tell you the myths about this field. A lot of people, when they ask me, what do you do for a living? And I tell them I do medical coding and medical billing. And the first thing they say is, oh gosh, I want to do that. I want to work from home. Well, let me tell you, you have to be very, very disciplined to work from home. It requires a mindset in which your home now becomes your business. It becomes an environment where you have to close out everything and focus on the job at hand. So a lot of times people don't pay attention to that, and they take it for granted because it's easy to get distracted. It really is. So one, you have to discipline yourself. If this is something that you want to do, make sure that your mindset is clear, and that you know going into this it's not going to be easy. Your production is much higher when you have to work at home. Your accuracy is a little bit more challenged because you have to be accurate, because they feel like if we place you in an environment, which is your home environment, we expect for you to treat that as such, in a work environment as well, that you're able to have the ability to work from home and be disciplined, because it's easy to get sidetracked. Like I said, your friends will call you, you guys are on the phone chatting and you're coding something and it's miscoded, and that error comes back on you. So having discipline is something very, very, very important, an important trait that you want to have when you're working from home. Let me see, where else? I want to say the upsides of coding is the exposure to different specialties. I don't have one particular specialty in mind, or in that I really, really love. I love it all. I take that back. Ophthalmology, so boring. I need something that's a challenge to me, and I am a plastic surgery. I'm certified in constructive and plastic surgery, so I love that field too. But I don't have one particular field that I dislike or that I like more. I think that the more that you expose yourself to, there's a challenge, and that you can do it. So never limit yourself. If something is put before you, make sure you research it. I'm a researcher. I love to research. So if you give me something and I'm going to do it, believe you me, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to finish it. If I don't know something, I'm going to research it to the fullest. So I feel like that passion is what drives me as well, because a lot of people get into this field and say, yes, I can code. And then you put something in front of them and it's like, they don't really understand what they're looking at. And the first thing, there's a lot of different terms in the medical field. So I say familiarize yourself with the terminology. You see a word that you don't understand or know, make sure that you research it and you write it down. Of course, attending an accredited university. AAPC is where I got my certification. But also, too, I do want to mention, when I started my medical field career back in California, I searched out classes that they were giving. Long Beach Community College gave out information on classes that they will hold on certain careers, and I happened to jump in on one that was doing medical coding and billing. And it was free, so it was in the summertime, and I took advantage of that. So I say too, take advantage of any and all information, classes, webinars, seminars, anything that you can get your hands on that pertains to the field. I say go for it, because it's going to help you in the long run, because you'll attend a seminar and you may not need that information, but somewhere down the road on your career path in the medical coding field, you're going to say, hey, I remember that back when. So it's important to attend any and everything that you can that's going to help build your career. You'll end up using it. Trust you me, at some point you really honestly will. So I feel like this was my calling because I have such a passion for it. Like I work now at home. I am disciplined. I used to work for Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and I worked 7 years at home. And you have to maintain, like I said, a high productivity level, and you have to be able to be disciplined. So those are key factors, just being disciplined and focused when you're here. All outside factors become unnecessary when you're doing your work. So it's important for you to maintain those attributes if you intend to travel on this road to medical coding. I'm trying to think of something else. My friends always get on me about when I'm out. I'm always talking about what I do. And I don't mean to bore people, but there's so much out there in the medical field. It really is. And it's fascinating to me. So I may talk about it, and if they get tired of it, I'm like, oh, well, but I tend to obsess over certain things. If it's a case that one of my physicians has done and it's a bit of a challenge to me, I will research any and everything pertaining to that particular case just so I can get the right code. So that is another thing that you will have to do. There's a lot of research involved in this. The misperceptions that whatever the doctor does when he goes into that OR is what he's documented. It's not always the case. So it requires a little bit more research and dedication on your behalf to actually delve into what he's done so that you can code it right. It's always good to have a great rapport with everyone, including your physicians. Most doctors are really, they're just people like us. They just have a specific skill, just like a coder. So having a great rapport with your doctor, that always helps. I have many physician friends that I still talk to right now that I used to do some work for, independent work, and they contact me for advice. So it really helps further your career along when they are able to refer other physicians to you for advice. So you get yourself out there, you know, when you really know your stuff. I don't claim to know everything, but I always love to learn. And that is one of the things I gravitate toward, is always learning. You're always going to learn something new every day. And I've learned so much working. I currently work at CHOA, Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, and I love it there. I have been there for almost 3 years, and I plan to retire there. So, but I love it. It is so many different facets of the field. I do plastic surgery coding there for a physician group that they operate and fix on children with congenital disorders, and also lacerations, and if they have congenital skin disorders and things like that. My next certification I would like to get would be into interventional radiology. That is a challenge for me. I'm not going to lie to you. I have done some coding for that, but I want to learn more. The more difficult it is, the more it drives it to me. So I say don't limit yourself to what you can learn and what you can do. You can do it. So if you put your heart, mind, and soul into it, it can be done. Don't limit yourself. And also, when you limit yourself, you cheat yourself. So just think about that one time when you miscode something, how that misinformation will go a long way. So it's very important for you to pay attention to detail, because that's what this field involves. You have to pay attention to detail of what the doctors document. If something you see that you're unsure of, query the doctor. Ask them questions. Don't be afraid, because you're trying to help them. And that's what I love about this field. It's about helping people. You're not only helping the doctors, you're helping the patient. So think of that as, I think of it as my good deeds when I do something. So another facet of this field, you have to be open to criticism. A lot of people, you know, tend to be defensive. I, for one, will raise my hand and say I've been very defensive. I had a physician that I really admire to this day still. She's a great doctor here in Atlanta area. She's a plastic surgeon doctor. And I had her tell me I was doing some contract work for her. And she told me I was very defensive. And because when something needs to be done, I'm going to do it. But it might not be done in the same fashion that she wanted it done, but I still did it. So when she came to me, she says, Joanne, you're very defensive. And I said, no. And I was about to say, no, I wasn't, because I had to step back and say, you might be right. So let me work on that. So it's all about having that discipline too from within, and then being able to accept that criticism, and then being able to take that criticism and turn it into something positive. So you're going to run into a lot. And I will tell you, along the way, my journey to where I am now has taught me so much. And I really love who I am right now. And I know I have a long way to go, but I love it because my journey here, it was a tough one, but along the way, I didn't give up, because you'll have most people who say, you know what, forget it, this isn't for me. Well, then that wasn't your passion. It truly wasn't. So if you decide to get into this field, take time, research it, talk to people if it's something that you want to do. And then just sit back and do a self-evaluation and say, hey, is this really for me? Can I do this? No job is easy. It isn't. But it's not going to be as difficult if you come into it with a different outlook. I say challenge yourself daily. Push yourself out there. Put yourself out there and challenge yourself. It was very hard for me to do at first, but the more and more I do it, I've become comfortable with, my supervisor will give me something and say, hey, can you look at this? And it might be a case that I'm not familiar with, but they know that, hey, Joanne is going to be able to do it. And I do. So I will challenge you to challenge yourself to take time, research what you want to do. And if it's something that when you start to do it, it just becomes natural. I've heard the saying that when you have a job, it's just a job. When you have a career, it's a career. But when you have a passion, it's neither of those. It's something that you love. And I live by that motto every day. I won't say everything is perfect, because I've had times where I've even questioned myself. And you do that. And when you do that, you're on the right track. So I say that, and I apologize if I'm a little bit wordy, but I can go on and on about this all day, but I didn't want to take up too much of my friend's time. But I want to say, Tamara, thank you so much for inviting me to do your podcast. This is my very first one as well. Believe it or not, you guys, I used to be shy. And I had one time posted that on my Facebook page, and my friends really literally ripped me a new one, because they don't see that side of me now, but I was years ago, because I was always afraid of making mistakes. But that's another thing too. Don't be afraid to make a mistake, but definitely try not to make them, because you have to realize you're dealing with someone's medical records. You're dealing with someone's life, and it's in your hands. So it's going to be up to you to do the research, do the footwork, and to be confident. I will add this last thing. A lot of times people get into this field and they're unsure of some things. And I think it's because their confidence is just torn because of a bad audit that they may have received. But I look forward to getting my audits, because they help me become a better person and I learn from them. So that's why I tell people it's not an easy field to get into, because there's just so many different facets of it. It's more than just getting in front of the computer and taking an operative report and coding it and putting it in. It's actually knowing what's in it and then educate yourself on it. I'm a visual learner. If you see something that you don't understand, Google it, look at a video. There's lots and lots of videos out there that contain surgeries and medical procedures, and it will help you so much along the way. And I think that that's what has gotten me to this point. I recently have just been promoted, and I'm very excited. I'm a little nervous, but I'm excited. So I'm looking forward to the challenges that are ahead of me, and I'm looking forward to learning a whole lot more. So I want to end by saying, have that passion of having a passion for what you do. It becomes a part of you. Take that, learn from it, and more so, it's all about helping other people too. And I'm an advocate for helping other people. So I thank you, Tamara, for inviting me to your podcast. And I'm sorry I was long-winded, but this has been fun. And I am ending this right here. You guys have a wonderful day. Thanks.
Thank you for tuning in to Code Rhetoric with Tam Talk. Again, please visit my website at www.abrahammedicalcodingcoachllc.com. Thank you.